We're standing in front of Thalia Hall in downtown Jackson on the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. As you can see, people are entering now for a town hall meeting to talk about economic justice. The guest speaker tonight is Senator Bernie Sanders, who will be sharing the stage with Mayor Chokwe Lumumba. We've talked to some of the people entering tonight about what they want to hear and what they expect to hear.
I'm here because, one, I've always wanted a chance to see Bernie Sanders in person, and two, I wanted to be able to attend a town hall meeting and learn more about how I can help my city.
So what is it about Bernie Sanders that you like?
I like the fact that he seems to be more for the disadvantaged people than for people who are rich and in power.
We have, families and children who are living in poverty, who, if they don't go to school, they don't have a meal to eat and are forced to go to homeless shelters in order to have access to food. So I'm here to be a part of the conversation, but to also hear any solutions that are lifted up that could create economic justice in the city of Jackson.
Our guest, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Dr. King was a nonviolent revolutionary. And what he spent his life trying to do was to change our value system in the deepest way. And he asked the most difficult questions. He asked how it could be that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, it was true then, it is true now. How could it be that so many people lived in abysmal poverty? That's the question that he asked. And that's the question that we have got to ask tonight.
So, Senator Sanders, can we infer anything by you being here in Mississippi? Are you planning to run again in 2020?
No, much too early to be thinking about that. My goal right now is to try to get more and more people involved in the political process, to go to states that the National Democratic Party has long ignored, like Mississippi, and to understand that we cannot have a strong national party unless the Democrats are playing in 50 states in this country. I believe that if we get young people and working people involved in the political process, the future of the Democratic Party is going to be very bright indeed.
We talk about economic justice 50 years later. When you look at people of color and poor people, you talk a lot about the wealth gap. Are we better off or worse off 50 years later?
Well, right now, in terms of income and wealth inequality, it is worse today than at any time since the 1920s. You have the top 1/10 of 1% now owning almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. You got 3 people in America owning more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. And that is an issue that we have got to address. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world, but almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. And that is not the direction that a successful country goes.
You talked tonight about a 50-state strategy. We know that Chairman Howard Dean, when he was running the Democratic Party, that was one of his big things.
That's right.
Why do you think that the Democratic Party kind of walked away from that strategy?
That is a great question, and I honestly don't know the answer. I have not been involved until the last few years into the internal workings of the Democratic Party. But whoever made that decision made a very dumb and dangerous decision. I don't believe, I should tell you, in the concept of red states or blue states. I think that wherever there are working people who are struggling to put food on the table for their kids, and having a hard time paying for health care or sending their kids to college, those are states that progressives can win if we have the courage to stand up to big money interests and wealthy campaign contributors. So we should be doing this in every state in this country.
As you heard, Senator Sanders says he has not made up his mind yet about a 2020 presidential run, but tonight he stirred up the political conversation here in Jackson, Mississippi. From the lobby of the Thalia Theater, I'm Dwayne Doty for JSU-TV.